Hey, friends, before we get into this, just a little bit of help here. If you're enjoying this podcast, if you're enjoying the series, would you mind giving a little donation? So if you go into the sort of notes there below, like all the links and all that stuff is, you'll have all the info you need to give a donation of some kind, something once a month, like $3, $5. It really makes a difference. Lets me know this is something that you want us to do. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks a lot. I'm Rabbi Patrick, and welcome to Kihila. So let's talk about stuff that we have coming up, and then we will set our covenant, and then I'm going to talk about holidays, and I'm going to talk about our responsibilities to the world, and I'm going to talk about that family member who really shouldn't hear this sermon, and I'm going to talk about religious jurisprudence, and if you're lucky, I might mention the manosphere, because this is something that I'm a little bit worried about these days. So anyway, Shavuot is coming up. And I'm very excited about this. This is the Mount Sinai Mountain of Ice Cream. Okay, so I want you to picture this. We're going to be in Midlothian. I know those of you who are in Richmond, you're going to have to update your passports. You're going to have to get the real ID. It's kind of like when we used to play Oregon Trail back on the Macs, like, before they were like MacBook Pro and all that. I mean, like a Mac, like an Apple, like Mac, right? And you would ford the river and then someone would die of dysentery. I know that's what it feels like when you have to cross the mighty, the majestic James River. But I think you can do it. I think you've got this. I think that with God's help, you too can go from Church Hill to Midlothian. I know I'm like kind of snarky, but you get who you are, right? Anyway, I'm very excited about it. It's one of my favorite things we do, honestly. What I love about the Mount Sinai Mountain of Ice Cream. First of all, Shavuot, May 22nd, 5:30, so a little bit earlier than we normally do. It's also Shabbat, so we're going to have this like combo Shabbat Shavuot thing. So Shavuot, this is the giving of the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, hence the Mount Sinai Mountain of Ice Cream. Some of you have heard of this holiday as Shavuos, the cheesecake holiday, right? As a side note, sometime we need to do a Golden Girls themed Shavuot. I've been thinking about this with cheesecake, like that whole thing. Anyway, so you show up, Art Factory. Yeah, you get there at 5:30, great. You can get there at 6. But there's going to be pizza and salad and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be really, really nice. There's going to be a big table with lots of books available for you to take home because Jewish learning is something that we really celebrate on Shavuot. And as I kind of alluded to, because it's also a harvest festival, lots of glutinous things. So certain friends of ours, I'm so sorry, there will be gluten, there will be dairy. It just kind of is what it is. Not every holiday is going to be perfect, but I will tell you, if you can't enjoy dairy ice cream, we will give you a coupon that will let you go to the ice cream stand and you'll be able to get whatever kind of ice cream you need that meets your dietary restrictions. So no one's going to feel left out. Anyway, so we'll have the Mount Sinai Mountain of Ice Cream, and Robin and I are going to do a little musical presentation number with Keebler elves that are going to be Israelites and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then everyone gets a spoon and they just go for it. Well, of course, light candles and we'll do all the things. There'll be other activities too. So if you have bored kids, they'll have things they can do to have fun. But it's going to be great. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Again, this is Friday, May 22nd, 5:30. We're going to say that like by 6 o'clock, we'll be eating ice cream. So let's make sure to get on it here, people. So that's coming up. And then May 29th, International Shabbat. Thank you, Edva and Brittany. This is going to be great. I happen to be, I'm kind of like, I'm people who know people. So I have the list of what they're cooking. Oh my gosh, people, it's going to be great. This is another Midlothian thing. I know, update the passports. But it's going to be at Brittany and Austin's house. And the food's going to be delicious. They're only able to accommodate about 20 people, tops. So you got to RSVP for this thing. Art Factory, plenty of room. RSVP at the last second. I know that's what you're going to do anyway. But do Brittany and Edva a solid here and go on ahead and RSVP nice and early. That's going to be great. That's at 6 o'clock, which is like 6:15-ish, right? You all know the drill. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's take a moment to quiet our minds, listen to the cat crying in the background. um, maybe this is a moment for you to have a little bit of meditation time. Maybe this is your like me time. Maybe this is dropping the kids off. Maybe this is just one less opportunity to scroll on Instagram. Whatever this moment happens to be for you, thank you for having it with me. Thank you for having it with us as Kahila. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Yeah. And let's maybe have a blessing. I'm going to do this one just kind of off the top of my head. I don't have anything written down for this one, but how about this? Blessed are you, source of the universe, who brings us into the experience of life and who has given us Torah, Matan Torah Tenu, this Torah for us to be connected to be instructed by, and for us to engage with. And let us say, Amen. Because that's the thing about Shavuot, Zman Matan Torah Tenu, right? It's like the day of the giving of Torah. Now, here's the thing. Historically, it was more of like a harvest festival thing, and then the sort of priesthood decided to layer over kind of a theological element to it that was a little bit different. But here's the thing about it, though, is that like we can do the thing where we pick all of this apart in history, and we can say, well, this came at this time, and this text, and this source, and this Jewish family, and blah blah blah. Blah. But the reality is, it still is the canon, right? Like this is what we have, and we were supposed to see it as one document, right? As one history, as one practice. So even if we can, very intelligently, in a very scholarly kind of way, in a very open way, in a very transparent and honest way, dig through what Jewish history shows us is the evolution of our texts. Nevertheless, as the scholar Israel Knoll would say, like, it is kind of what it is. Now, I don't know if Israel Knoll would say it that way, but I'm going to say that he would say it that way, that it is what it is. It is our text. It's our canon. We work with what we got. Okay, so all of that being said, we're going to talk about all kinds of different things here, and this is based on the sermon that I gave the other night at Second Arrow, and if you weren't there, well, you're about to get it. And if you were there, I mean, you should listen to it anyway, because the thing I don't tell people is, so I don't really save these. Like, I don't have like a thumb drive or whatever. Do people even do thumb drives anymore? Is that even a thing? I don't have like a thumb drive filled with all of this stuff. I usually just delete it. So there's like probably hundreds of sermons that will never see the light of day. But this one I happen to have. And I was going to do this thing about Shavuot, and I was going to actually use a lesson plan that I had from like 3 years ago about corruption and all kinds of stuff like that. And I decided, no, we're going to reuse a sermon. You're never supposed to reuse a sermon. I tell students of mine who I mentor for rabbinical school, reuse your sermons. Come on, it's fine. Because you're a different person every time you give them, and you're going to have new highlights, new insights. You're going to change your mind about things. So keep them. And then, kind of, I don't know, reinterpret them, redesign them, things like that. Me, I don't necessarily follow that advice. I kind of just delete them. I don't know. That's just me. So here we go. Leviticus chapters 21 through 24, Parshat Emor, establish the fixed times of the Jewish calendar. So this is Shabbat, Passover, Omer, which we're in right now, Shavuot, which we're going to have, Rosh Hashanah, which we're already planning, which is like gross. Like, I cannot believe we're already thinking about that, but we are. And guys, I gotta tell you, it's gonna be so awesome. I am so flippin' excited about this. Kitty cat, I know. Why don't you come be with me? Sorry, guys, the cat. Yeah, come here, Toes. Okay, Toes, we're studying Torah. Okay, okay. So Rosh Hashanah's gonna be nuts. Yom Kippur is gonna be great. Sukkot, I mean, it's Sukkot, like pizza in the hut. Okay, the key idea here is the fixed aspect. That we do things when we do them, and it's just that simple, right? Calendars are calendars. Me'od Adonai. It's like a time for God. Now, if you miss it, tough stuff. time comes, time goes, and you're never going to have that moment back. Everything is kind of a Shehekianu moment in some way or another. I've been sort of like passively learning about physics and the idea of time space and all of that stuff. And really, the more I learn about it, the less I understand. Supposedly, that means you really are getting what quantum mechanics is. If you understand it less and less, that's me blowing up my own ego. But the reality is, the more I learn about this stuff, the more I realize how special and amazing it is that we have any moments at all. And it makes every moment pretty special. So, what if there's something that you miss out on, right? And it's not your fault. Well, if we fast forward a little bit farther by about a month's worth of Parshiot, like a month later in our liturgical calendar, we get Parshat Beha'alatecha. The Israelite men confront Moses with a dilemma. What if we fully intended to offer the Passover sacrifice, right? Like we knew it was time, we know it was coming, but we couldn't for some reason. And there's a couple of reasons given here. One is that you were sojourning, right? So you're on a journey of some kind. You just physically weren't there. Now remember, here's the thing about Pesach at the time, right? When we think of Pesach, we think about the Seder, right? We think about you go to someone's house, you come to Kehillah and whatever. Boy, was that incredible, by the way. Our Passover Seder this year, 2 of them, 40 people at each. It was crazy. It's not that, right? This is the sacrifices, right? This is the sacrificial temple system. You can't do that in New Jersey. It's not a thing. You have to be there. So what if you're not there? What if something happens, right? Again, Oregon Trail, right? Someone gets dysentery. It is what it is. You're stuck. So that's option 1. Option 2 is what if you were made ritually impure by the presence of a corpse? Now, this is the stuff where history did not treat those texts very well as far as other religions are concerned, because it confused ritual purity and impurity with sin. And it's not even remotely the same thing, right? Purity and impurity are states of being vis-a-vis life, right? Just life happens to you. You are pure or impure. Another way of thinking about it, because maybe purity and sin, maybe there's just like kind of a thing there. Maybe another way to look at it is whether you are in the right condition or not. Maybe that's another way of thinking about it. So perhaps conditions took place, or maybe things took place that put you in the wrong condition. There's like an on or an off. It's a 1 or a 0 to use computer language, right? So maybe you were just defiled by a corpse, which in other words just means you were around a corpse and now you went from a 0 to a 1. Right? It says nothing about you or your character. You didn't do anything wrong. Could be that you were burying a loved one, right? It could be anything, right? But for some reason, you went from a 0 to a 1, a one side of the page to the other, a head versus a tail. And now you're just in a state of ritual imperfection, let's say. And now, because of that, because of sojourning, you couldn't offer the Passover sacrifice. So we had this holiday the other night, Pesach Sheni, okay? Numbers chapter 9 gives us this. It says that if any of you or yours or your others or, the people who come after you are defiled by a corpse or on a long journey, would offer a Passover sacrifice to God, they shall offer it in the 2nd month on the 14th day of the month at twilight. They shall eat it with matzah and bitter herbs. So a week-long holiday is missed, and it becomes a 1 evening do-over event. This would be kind of like if you missed 4 years of high school and then you just sat and took a test and you could just get out of it. For the purpose of letting people offer a sacrifice that was otherwise beyond their control, okay? So that's the key component here. There were these 2 situations, the travel or the ritual purity question. Those were beyond your control, and so you get another chance. Because Judaism has and always will find a way to grow our capacity for practice. So I'm sure, and this is where someone's going to want to come after me on this, I am sure there are plenty of times, I can't think of them off the top of my head, plenty of times where Judaism did not expand the tent, where it interpreted things in a certain kind of way that made it a little bit less easy for people to live, for lack of a better word, whole type lives, meaning like the ordinary, the mundane, everyday lives. Okay. Sure. Yes. But in the big picture of things, there's always an expansion of the tent. So davening 3 times a day. Okay, I get it. That's not making it easy, right? But it's a heck of a lot easier to daven 3 times a day than it is to restore the temple in Jerusalem, right? Okay? You get where I'm going with this, right? Small little micro things when compared to all of the bigger things that you can't do. Okay? Are you with me so far? Good. At the end of the day, Judaism is always, like most religions, evolving for human need, right? It's going to try to find a way to make practice practical, to make it something that we can do. So, thinking about this, right, this idea of Judaism evolving to meet human need makes me think about Kehillah. Because I think Kehillah, in a lot of ways, is like a Pesach Sheni of synagogues. So we offer, among many things, the space for people to grow spiritually who are not allowed to be in community or whose circumstances prevented them from being part of community in some way that is beyond their control, right? So you're a woman who did not get to have a bat mitzvah because of how old you are, right? Meaning when you were young, they didn't offer that. You're someone who loved someone and was told that that love's not right. You're not allowed to love that person. We're not going to marry the two of you together, right? So you're someone who, because of circumstances beyond your control, we're told, no, you're not welcome. Maybe your skin color was something that threw someone off and, well, we're just not going to help you. And by the way, all 3 of those scenarios are stories I'm highly glossing over, but they're all stories of people at Kehillah. Those 3. Yeah. I'm actually, like, as I'm telling those stories, I'm seeing those people in my mind. We offer people who deserve a chance. And that's something I'm really proud of. Now, let's kind of put that sort of off to the side. And now I want to talk about your friends and family. So here I am, Rabbi Patrick, Mr. You Matter guy, and I've given this, sort of speech to you so far about inclusion, making the tent bigger, human needs being met with religion evolving to meet those needs. Okay. Now, all of that sounds great, hopefully. How many of you have had a friend, or you currently have a friend or a family member, who would hear those words? This talk of inclusion, second chances, responsibilities versus the reality of the boots on the ground, people deserving do-overs. How many of you have or have had a person in your life, or maybe, who knows, maybe you know someone that if they heard this sermon, frankly, it's something they really shouldn't hear. Because deep down, you know that these ideas, inclusion, openness, second chances, whatever, those words would be weaponized against others. So here's what I mean by that. Didn't pay the bill? Well, where's my bill paying Shani? Didn't the rabbi say that you have to forgive me or something? What about didn't visit a sick person in the hospital? Well, where's my hospital visit, Shani? Didn't the rabbi say it's all good if I show up a month later? Right? Or what about someone who didn't watch their child? Where's my parenting responsibility, Shani? Because my life is complicated enough and I deserve more opportunities. Rabbi said so, right? Like someone who would hear all the things I just said to you and like that's how they would take it, right? I think we've met people like that before. It's the people where it's always give me another chance, right? You gave them 12 chances, right? And they want a 13th, the 14th, the 15th. Or the people who say, well, what do you want from me? right? Those people. And it's like, all I want you to do is just the thing you committed to doing. Like that's all anyone was asking of you. Or how about this one? Well, I said I would do it, but that was then, and this is now, and things are different. And by the way, because they think that way, because we can only ever promise things in the past, right? Because that's time is, time like might not be linear, right? That's that physics stuff. Time might, be an illusion. But as far as how we live our lives, time is time. Like if you promise something on a Monday that you're going to do on a Wednesday and it's Thursday and you haven't called yet, it's not because, well, time isn't real and Einstein and blah, blah, blah. It's just literally like you flaked, right? And there's those people that they're always flaking. You just never know, right? We know those people. I'm sure you know those people or have known those people. Now, let's flip that, okay? So real negative Nancy type stuff, right? Let's flip that. How many of you know a person who, if they heard this sermon, it would be a terrible idea, right? Because I'm talking about inclusion, bigger tent, religion evolving to meet human need, let's give people a second chance. It would be a terrible idea for them to hear the sermon because deep down, they would allow people to weaponize it against them. It's like a lesson they shouldn't hear. This is the person who takes on the labor they aren't supposed to. Not because they want a promotion or there's some other like thing that they're trying to gain, but because others take advantage of them. This is the person who feels guilty for what others do and takes on the burden, takes on the responsibility of atoning for someone else's behavior, right? Maybe those words atone and all of that are a little bit big, but I think you get where I'm going with this. Here's a tough one. This might be one of those times where you like hit the pause button here and sit with it and then come back. That's fine if you got to do that. So maybe this is the person who was likely raised with parents who made them manage the emotions of adults. Something no parent is supposed to do, but some parents do. There's a catch to Pesach Sheni, to the do-over Passover. It doesn't apply to someone who was ritually pure and was physically present, but chose not to participate. So think back to what I said earlier, these two conditions that were provided, right? You get the do-over Passover if, Oregon Trail, you're far away, couldn't be there, or the conditions of your purity state. That's it. And if those things don't work, then Pesach Sheni, right? Give you another chance. Okay. But the same text also says that if you were ritually pure and you were there and you chose not to do it, you're cut off from the community. And that's a big deal. Not cut off because of who you are, not cut off because of your circumstances, but you're cut off because you chose that. And that's a whole other ballgame. So, yeah, heavy stuff. Let's tie it up in a bow here. So, all healthy relationships have boundaries. Listen, if I like, I probably have like 5 or 6 intelligent things that I just repeat over and over again. I think this is one of them. It's like all healthy relationships have boundaries. You matter. Everything is a relationship. Like there's just like certain, like the few moments of wisdom that I've had in my life. But the truth of the matter is, it really, it is a thing, right? All healthy relationships have boundaries. Did you grow up without them, right? Do you have friends who don't have them, right? Did you have a parent, a grandparent who didn't get what boundaries were, right? You kind of know how those it's amazing. People who did not grow up with boundaries or don't like understand boundaries, God, they are allergic to people who have boundaries. Boy, do they think you are just the worst person in the world. Am I right? Those of you with boundaries, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you without boundaries are like, what's his problem? Yeah, it's just true. Like you don't get to be 43 without learning some stuff, right? So Pesach Sheni style thinking, when it's taken too far, actually destroys boundaries. You would think that Opening the tent more and more and more diversity, more inclusion would be the positive thing. And remember, in some ways it is, right? We have the two examples of when something's beyond your control. Of course, we give you another chance, right? Not because you did something wrong, not because of who you are, but just life happens, right? That was a line that a professor of mine said in college. When big things would happen, people didn't submit their homework. He was like, well, life happens. Yeah, yeah. But you get a do-over, again, not because of something you did, but because of life happening at you. But people who don't get that, they use that and it destroys boundaries. It makes second chances. It makes do-overs the first chance, not the second chance. Not what it's supposed to be. It takes the responsibility off of those who would live up to their responsibilities by saying that they don't really matter that much. Because think about it. If I say to you, oh, there's this thing, it's important time, Miod Adonai, like that level. Not that I have a right to claim that those things exist, but like, let's just go for it, right? And I say, but you know what? It's really not that important because, you can always do it on Tuesday. Well, then where's the incentive to do it at the right time? If you can always do it on Tuesday. In other words, like, your boss comes to you and is like, okay, yeah, we have an important report and it's due on Monday, but actually it's due on Tuesday. And then you submit it on Tuesday and they're like, why didn't you submit it on Monday? It's like, well, she told me the deadline's Tuesday. That's what happens when you take this Pesach Sheni style thinking too far, right? Is it Monday? But worst case scenario, if all other things get in your way, Tuesday? Or is the deadline Tuesday? Right? We make second chances, first chances that way. And that's a problem. Because what about the person who does submit it on time, who submits it on a Monday? It doesn't matter that they did. If Bob can submit it on a Tuesday and it's all the same. Right. And it also puts the responsibility of constantly accommodating others on those whose motives are pure. So, like in this example of like the reports due on Monday, but worst case scenario, oh my gosh, people, there was no way. It was beyond our control. Okay, we'll just do overs on Tuesday. Right? If it's always like Tuesday, but kind of if you want to, but like whatever, well, then it creates this demand that there will always be these accommodations. There will never be it's like a floating deadline at all times or something like that, right? And when you don't provide that, then you're the bad person, right? Because the first time that you look to someone's condition and you say, look, it was beyond your control, like we're going to give you something, there's certainly appreciation, right? But then when we change it and we say, well, but like anyone can have a circumstance, anything can be a circumstance, any situation can be life happening, right? In the moment, you just decided not to do it. Okay, well, so then what happens? It's entitlement. Entitlement happens because suddenly it's not about the conditions of life that happen at people whose intentions were pure, who would have offered the sacrifice but could not because of things that were beyond their control. Rather, it becomes a scenario where it doesn't matter at all. And the person who's trying to do things right, who's trying to set the agenda in a certain way, who's trying to make sure things happen in the way they're supposed to, well, they're a jerk, right? Because like they should always just be accommodating. They should always just be making things easier, better, more open, for the person who's always going to be late, for the person who's never going to have the project done on time, who's not going to show up on time to pick up the kids. Case in point, it was a really interesting study that happened in Israel. So there was this like after school program, and they struggled with the fact that parents were picking their kids up late. And, that's a problem, right? Because the teachers, the instructors, the administrators, whatever, they got to go home. They got to pick up their kids. They got to go make dinner. Like they have lives. And also like for scheduling purposes, how do you do that? Like how many people do you have to keep behind so that the parents who are running late, will pick up their kids on time and the kids will be safe and there will be an adult present, right? So it's a problem. Like those of you who've ever ran anything that's volunteer oriented, or maybe you've had a business of some kind, like you get it, right? So they thought, okay, we're smart here. We're going to charge people money. Like every time you're late, we're going to ding you. So in economics, it's thought of as like carrot and stick, right? So this is a bit of a stick, right? If you are late picking up your kids, bam, you get dinged a certain amount of money. I don't know how many shekels it was, but whatever. So you would think this would be the motivator, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to like have to pay more for school or whatever, daycare. Yeah, of course we'll pick the kids up on time, whatever. Guess what happened? I bet you know. Bet you can figure it out. And if you've ever read Freakonomics, or I think there was a movie version of it some years ago, you get where I'm going with this. Actually, the number of people leaving their kids like late, yeah, skyrocketed. Skyrocketed. Why? Because you were giving people an incentive to leave the kids behind because they just pay more. Right? It's no longer a sort of a moral issue of like, you need to pick up your kids on time. This needs to happen, right? We are all in this together and we have families that need to be able to leave here and be able to go and do the things they need to do. The whole universe doesn't revolve around you and your kid who we have to like keep an extra 30 minutes or however long, right? Right? It created what's called a perverse incentive that, well, I just pay extra money and then I get to leave my kid there as long as I want to. So, just something to think about when you're considering these do-over moments in life, these opportunities that you give to people, right? That that olive branch that you extend, right? That sort of extra time to work on something. Compassion, love, openness, generosity does expand the tent, but you have to be very careful about the people you're expanding it for. And what are their motivations? What are they interested in? And my experience has been over the years that you do the best you can with that. And there's going to be people who trick you. There's going to be people who take advantage of a good nature. And you learn from those things and you move on. Pesach Sheni tells us, give people a chance when life comes at them. Help them, give them something, give them an extra chance, give them some resources, right? Help them out. But don't create a cycle where people can get away with anything they want. It's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to anybody. And as I like to say, remember, you matter. Thanks a lot. Let's talk about Second Arrow. If you are in Churchill or if you're anywhere, you need to know about our good friends at Second Arrow. They are your advocates, they are your coach, your inspiration, your reality check. They will take the time to actually see you and hear you, and they're pretty funny too. If you're still finding your way with physical therapy and yoga, you can do a one-on-one evaluation. Or if you're ready to just do this thing, you can go on the website and of course they will get you all set up. We are huge fans of Second Arrow, and that's not just because we use their space. We have congregants who love them and actually found out about us through them. So thank you, Second Arrow, for making that happen. They're blending the ancient movements of yoga and the hard science physical therapy to treat pain, prevent injury, and transition you to a safe, active lifestyle. There is nothing like bodyweight challenges to promote lifelong strength, mobility, endurance, and function. And they also have this cute little coffee shop thing going. It's like a self-service coffee shop. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You should check it out. Anyway, please go to secondarrowrva.com. That's secondarrowrva.com. Check them out, 2200 Carrington Street, right here in beautiful Churchill.